Welcome back to Lisa's Family Table. I want to just introduce Rick Dalton, our very good friend.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
What Rick and I are getting ready to do is we're going to cook, I would call it a semi-competition style steak. This is actually the perfect ribeye. You can't eat a better ribeye than this because you've got the spineless, which is the best part of the best steak. You've got this additional muscle here, which is super tender and juicy too. And then you've got the ribeye the eye of the ribeye. So we couldn't have a better looking steak than this one. But because the cap is wanting to come loose, we're gonna skewer it up before we cook it. So we're gonna use these short skewers and we're just gonna do a crisscross. They're so tender and you can see that the fat just wants to melt. It's such a beautiful cut. And once again, this is from Butcher Shop in Pensacola, Florida. Shout out to Kevin and his family. They just do an amazing product. And it's great because more families are cooking at home and you can order these boxes for delivery at home. And you're gonna see that when we cook this, it's gonna be super tender. Now you could use skewers, but the reason I don't like to use them is because sometimes they can leave wood shards in the steak. This is about 1.25 inch steak, which is actually the ideal thickness. And then I'm gonna use my steak rub. Now in a competition, they like to layer the rubs and they like to put a lot more rub than what I'm gonna put on my steak. Because when I'm eating a steak, I don't wanna eat that much rub on it. It's not my preference. I want the meat to shine through. And when you have a cut that's this good, you don't wanna destroy the meat by over seasoning it. And this rub is actually specially formulated to really complement beef. It has that umami, that fifth flavor sense. We're using black garlic, among other flavor enhancers, to really draw out the natural flavor of the beef. And so that's our goal. If this was a choice cut, I would have seasoned this up to an hour and 15 before I grilled it, because after 20 minutes, the salt in the rub is going to start drawing out the natural flavors and the juice from the steak. And then after 20 minutes, it's going to start putting it back in and it'll create a really great steak. So you could go to any store and buy a choice cut, use this rub, cook it with this technique, and I promise you, you're going to have a great steak. Now we're going to cook for a medium rare. In an SCA competition, they're cooking for a medium. So for us today, we're gonna pull off at 128 degrees. That's what we're looking to do. So we're gonna do about 1 minute and 20 seconds a turn. And we'll temp it at that using our Grill Grate thermometer. And if we have to, we'll put them up on the rack until we get to the desired temperature. What are we at, about 500?
About 500, 510 is what I have, yes. So
the grill's at about 510. Okay, so I'm looking for a 10 and 2 position. And we're gonna put a 2-pound weight on them. The reason that we did that is because we wanna really solidify those grill marks. There's a lot of precision to this. It's so fast, but you don't have to make it fast. You can intentionally slow it down and take your time on the turns, which is what we're gonna do. And you want to kind of pop this up some because you don't want to mess up your grill marks that you spend all that time on.
And always clean your grates every time you turn them so you don't get a buildup of your rub on it.
Reset my timer. You know, when you get cooking like this, sometimes you lose track of time. Okay. Let me use your towel there, Rick, to clean off. And clean your grill fork off.
You always want to get the rub off of it for it doesn't build up.
You don't want to mess up your grill marks. You spent all that time working on them. Perfect. Beautiful grill marks.
They are just spot on.
We're cooking Wagyu. All right, so Wagyu is such a phenomenal cut of meat.
You have a Wagyu steak, you want to take care of it like it's a little baby.
Yeah, it's a little baby.
And just kind of nurse it alone and make sure it's just perfect.
So I'm putting butter on, but I'm dabbing it. The reason you dab it like this is because you don't want to rub all that delicious rub off there. You just spend all that time putting on. You know, a lot of people brush it. You're defeating the whole purpose. Because it took us a little while on the turn, that last one. I'm going to turn early. Okay. I want to pull them off at 128. And on my turn, I was sitting at 104 on the left and I was at about 109 on the right. So the steak on the right is smaller So I just have to factor that in to where I'm going to land on it. It's kind of like Russell says on barbecue, low and slow. You got to be patient. You know, food is love. I mean, you got to love the people that you're serving, and you got to take some care into making the food. It's
right.
really that simple.
It is. You never be in a hurry when you're doing it, though.
Right.
You know, it's none of this turn, eat.
Yeah.
You can always take so much time, relax, cook your steak good, get it to where you want it, and serve it.
This one's going to need the shelf. It's a little less done, and I want to give it some more time. And I'm going to put this ThermoWorks dot into it, which is going to allow me to track the temperature on it while it's cooking. This is a high temperature probe. That's why we're going to use it.
Yes, we're gaining on it already, Lisa.
Yeah.
We got to 125. Our target's only 3 degrees away.
It's going to come up quickly. All your proteins need some rest time. You've just taken some protein, you've put it on a grill, you've seasoned it up, and now you got to have a minute to let it relax. It's kind of like when you make pasta. When you first knead your dough, you've got to let it rest so those glutens kind of relax. And once they're relaxed, the dough is softer, it's more pliable, the glutens are activated. Same thing here. So we're going to let the steak rest for a few minutes. And in an SCA competition, I'd let it rest for 10 plus minutes. And you know, somebody was asking us, is it still warm? Yeah, it's still warm. It may not be piping hot, but it's still plenty warm, and you're still going to really enjoy it. Okay, so we've pulled these off and we've rested them. And I'm going to pull these skewers out that we put in earlier just to stabilize these incredibly tender steaks. You can see all the juice that's down at the bottom. That's wonderful. Don't throw that out. That's delicious. I want to show you these incredible grill marks. You want the judges to taste the best part, the spineless, right? So we're going to cut that like this and see where we're at. It's perfect.
Look at it. There it is.
Wow. Okay, so that's a perfect medium. I don't have any gray here or here. If I had left it on one side, or the steak was cold when I put it on the grill, I would have had gray around that. That's not a good sign. Okay, so I've got peak end to end, no gray. This is a perfect medium. This temped out about 135 degrees. It's gorgeous.
Tell you what, that is just about perfect.
Look at these grill marks. Perfect.
And folks, these grill marks are easy to do at home. You can get a set of Grill Grates or invent something yourself to make them. We prefer Grill Grates because you can see the marks look so good on them.
Mm-hmm. This is probably more on the medium rare, which is my preference. Rick?
Oh my gosh, thank you. I've been waiting so much to have this. Absolutely perfect. It is so tasty, so colorful, so juicy.
Oh, God.
Isn't that good?
It's so good. It's the perfect amount of seasoning. Mm-hmm. It's not too salty. I'm glad I put that little extra on the end. The steak has so much juice in it. It's cooked the perfect temperature. It is so soft and tender. I really cannot wait for y'all to try this. It is so delicious. From our table to yours, this is exactly how you want to make the perfect ribeye. Please enjoy.